Hi traders, Mandy here from High Performance Trading. So last weekend we had the Melbourne Grand Prix. Oh my God, it was wild. On Saturday it was 37 degrees in Melbourne. It was so hot. And apparently, I think when it's about 30 degrees, it gets 50 to 60 degrees inside the race cars. So like insane. And on Sunday, when the actual race happened, well, it was typical Melbourne weather, right? Four seasons in one day. It was 20 degrees now. It was pouring down with rain, wind gusts. It was freezing cold. So completely different conditions to when the guys qualified for the race. And apparently one driver was like, oh my God, my car's filling up with water. My seat is completely wet. And it was because the water was leaking inside his car. Just insane. And yes, our poor Oscar Piastri, he thinned out, and we Melbourne's were of course very disappointed because we were hoping to see him win. But life always has different ideas, like the markets always have different ideas for us traders. Because the spinning out of the car, and that happened to a few other rookie drivers as well, reminded me of a trader, and I actually did a video about him just before this one. So I worked with him about 2 weeks ago, and what happened, it's heartbreaking. He nailed the double top on the ES. It was, double top on the daily between January, February. And he's like, this thing's going to roll over, not only based on technicals, but also other fundamental reasons. And he started with one position, and then he started scaling into the trade. And he was already dreaming, fantasizing about how he's going to take his wife on an amazing 5-star holiday. This is going to be his breakthrough trade. And yeah, he was already so excited because he knew this is going to be a surefire trade. But nothing is surefire in the markets, is it? Because what happened is the market, the ES went for a third top. And because he was already leveraged up to the max, his account size couldn't cope anymore. He bombed out, and just the day before the market actually rolled over, went all the way to his profit target, just without him. So he was actually really heartbroken, and that's traumatizing as well. So then I thought, that's quite a few similarities to trading when I saw what happened on the weekend with the cars, with the race car driver spinning out and then pretty much ending the race prematurely. And so the similarities that I see, and I'm sure there's many, many more, but the key ones for me are, number one, we have to make decisions in split seconds under incomplete information, right? So under uncertainty. And race car drivers, they call it actually a clutch decision. A friend of mine, he just started coaching a race car driver. And so I had a chat with him beforehand. And so he said, that's a clutch decision. I love that word. The second similarity to me is that, well, the conditions always change, right? So for the race car drivers, it can be that the weather changes from one day to the next, like it was here in Melbourne. And also, they travel every weekend to a different country with different temperatures, different asphalts, and so they need to adjust to the changed changed environments, right? And we traders have to do that all the time as well. Like especially now with Trump, the crazy Trump spikes every time he opens his mouth or every time he's tweeting something, and all the unrest happening in the world at the moment. Then I thought about it. Okay, so our trading strategy with an edge, it's like the race car with an edge, right? And we are the race car drivers who drive our strategy. So we need to have the skill to execute the strategy. And we also have to have the mindset to follow our strategy, even when things are uncertain, right? Especially when things are uncertain. And so we need to navigate the pitfalls of trading just the same way like race car drivers need to navigate the pitfalls of the racetrack. And this friend of mine, he actually, what he does is it's really funny. He hangs his race car driver upside down on the simulator and makes him drive upside down. They can't do that for too long because otherwise the blood gets in the head, and that's another health risk. But it's really interesting how when we when he's racing from a different perspective, how that impacts his decision making. So he wants to really train him to deal with any situation. How would that be when we start when we start trading upside down? Well, we can turn the charts upside down. So I know a few traders who do that actually. So these were like the main similarities that I see with race car driving. And then I looked at, okay, so what are the mindset superpowers that the race car drivers have that allow them to win? And like I assumed, like with my traders, not every trader is the same, but every trader is very individual. They have their own superpowers, their own weaknesses, they're their own person, right? And so it's the same with race car drivers. And I looked at who is who from the top performers has what kind of specific superpower. And Lewis Hamilton, he is one who has a lot of self-belief, right? He's so sure of himself. And as we know, there's a fine line between ego and strong self-belief. And the thing with him is that's how he keeps his ego in check, I guess. He never gets complacent. He always keeps training. He always wants to learn more. He always wants to improve his skill set. So he's a lifelong learner. And Linda Rushke, the market wizard, she's the same, right? She's been trading for 40 years, and she's still every day sharing with us something new that she discovered and something new that she's going to try out. And yeah, so a lifelong learner, very, very interesting. Then we have, of course, Michael Schumacher. I'm German, so I have to mention him. Michael Schumacher, very, very high standards and expectations. Like preparation was the number one thing for him. Like, in the with the military, the 7 Ps, proper preparation prevents piss poor performance, right? So he was very, very big on that one. And we also know he had a very rigid fitness routine, and he was eating super healthy. And it's the same with Djokovic, right? Djokovic is super healthy, he has a strong fitness regime as well. So I mean, success leads to here, right? Then we have Alonso, right? Fernando Alonso, poor guy. He had so many setbacks, but guess what? He never dwelt on the past. He never dwelt on the mistakes. He dived right in. He faced whatever he had to face. He looked at what was the mistake that he did, how can he do it better, how can he improve, and he always came back bigger and better. And I have a trader, he's mid 7-figure trader, phenomenal guy. He also has those challenges, those setbacks. It's just the nature of his trading, because when you trade a big account and you push positions, then of course, then when a gap occurs, you have a bigger loss. So because he trades stocks, sometimes there's a gap, can't do anything about it. And I remember one time he was down $500,000 on this one gap, and it was heartbreaking, right? It's actually traumatic. We should not underestimate that. But he recovers so quick. He's got this massive resilience, just really, really interesting. And that is what makes him such a good trader, in my opinion. That and many other trades as well. And it's interesting because he had quite a tough upbringing. So I think that's where he learned his resilience, because frankly, he had to, it was like survive or thrive. And that's what serves him nowadays, as sad as it was for him growing up, but it serves him nowadays in his trading. And then Max Verstappen, also very interesting, the Dutch boy. So he came second yesterday, and the journalist asked him, how do you manage to stay so calm, so stoic? And Max Verstappen responded very stoic. Well, that's what we train for. That's what we race car drivers just do, right? We stay calm and collected. And I thought it was really funny. But yeah, he's just this grounded guy, and nothing can throw him. And I can imagine that there's situations that are scary, or where he would be disappointed, but you wouldn't notice it. He's kind of like Roger Federer, stoic. And I actually have a friend. He's a hedge fund trader, and he's here in Melbourne, so he's a friend, not a client. And he also used the same, right? So when he is his normal self with his family and so, he's super funny and normal. But when it comes to trading, as soon as he's behind his desk, and looks at charts, it's just stoic, like a mannequin, just no facial expressions. And that is, in my opinion, also one of his superpowers, apart from being like a super, super technical guy. Like he can read the market really, really well. And then my favorite, Sebastian Vettel. He's a favorite because this is how I like to trade. He pushes aggressively at the beginning, and then he looks to smartly manage his race. Right? So for us, it would be our smart risk management, our smart trade management. And that's his superpower. And I kind of like that. I don't know why I like smart traders or smart race car drivers. So yeah, that was really interesting for me to do a little deep dive into Formula One and trading. And guys, we are lucky because we can have our Formula One race every day, like 100 times a day if you want to. And the poor Formula One race car drivers, they have to wait for the next weekend. They have to travel all over the world. We can do that from the comfort of our chairs, right? And behind the computer without being exposed to the heat or the rain. So I hope you found it interesting and useful, and I wish you a happy trading.